This month we are covering the wines of Burgundy in our Exploring Wine Region series. Now, Burgundy is one of the most critical and important regions in the world if you love wine, because it is the birthplace of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, two of the most iconic grapes in the world. And the history of Burgundy starts all the way back before 100 AD. So if you want to know more about the history of Burgundy, actually check out our video that we posted on Instagram about the history of Burgundy. Today I'm going to be telling you a lot more about the region, the quality levels, the soil types, as well as the other grapes that you can find. So Burgundy is a region located in the center of France, and it has a lot of continental climate, and it's actually a very long, skinny region, which is why we drew the map actually a little sideways. So here is the north heading that direction, and south is heading that direction. So that should give you an idea of how long and actually not very wide Burgundy is. Burgundy has a mixture of different soils, going from the northernmost regions of Chablis, where you're going to see a lot more chalky soils, similar to something like you might find in Champagne, along with some gravel, and then moving into the other regions of the Côte d'Or, Mâconnais and Châlonnais, where you find much more different variety of soil types. And soil is the most important thing when learning about Burgundy, because two varietals dominate Burgundy, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. What differentiates many of the different wines from the different regions in Burgundy is actually the terroir and soil of each individual vineyard. Some of them may have more gravelly subsoils, some of them may have a little bit more sand, marl, clay, and other things going on, or a mixture of them. And the other element of terroir that's very important for Burgundy is aspect. So in the same vineyard, depending on whether or not you're on the east, west, north, or south facing of the vineyard, you can get very different amounts of sunlight and heat throughout the year, which can make your wines either a little bit more austere or a little bit more round and fruit forward, and that can be all the difference in the quality of the wines. So let's start by talking a little bit about the different subzones of Burgundy. All the way in the north, actually kind of detached from the rest of Burgundy, is Chablis. Chablis is known primarily for its Chardonnays that have very high acid and very intense minerality. So when you're looking for something super crisp and lean, definitely the region in Burgundy you want to look for the most is Chablis. Then going a little further south, you have the Côte de Nuit and the Côte de Beaune. This is where you find all your collectible red wines from Burgundy. All the Grand Crus for reds in Burgundy are located here, and this is where you find wines of incredible minerality, incredible length and depth. There's also phenomenal white wines coming from these regions as well. Many of the most important Grand Crus like Côte and Charlemagne are located in the Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune. In fact, both of them together are known as the Côte d'Or, which is the hills of gold, because the quality of the wines there is pure gold. Now, coming a little further south, you have the regions of the Côte Châlonnais and the Côte Mâconnais. If you're looking for a little bit more value, especially in your white wines from Burgundy, these are the two regions to look for. Regions like Mâcon, Pouilly-Fuissé are located here, and these wines are a little bit more approachable because it's warmer, so they have a little bit more fruit. They're not quite as austere and mineral as something you might find in Chablis, so they're a little more easy drinking and more affordable. Now, these regions have also seen quite a resurgence in quality producers. Everybody used to think that if you want your Premier and Grand Cru and you want your top bottles, you can only go to the Côte d'Or or Chablis. But in the last few years, the rules in Burgundy have changed, and they've actually started to recognize a few of the vineyards in the Châlonnais and Mâconnais as being these higher quality vineyards, and it's for the first time in close to 1,000 years that they've actually reviewed the quality levels in Burgundy. So you can get Premier Cru Pouilly-Fuissé now, which never existed. But before we talk about our quality levels in Burgundy, let's finish off with Beaujolais. So some people don't consider Beaujolais to be part of Burgundy, but it definitely is part of it. You can produce wines in Beaujolais under the Bourgogne appellation. The reason why they don't consider Beaujolais to be part of Burgundy is because the primary varietal in Beaujolais is not Pinot Noir for the reds. It's actually Gamay. Gamay is a different varietal with a little bit more fruit and a little bit less earthiness and floral tones to them. But the producers in Beaujolais, especially in the last 15 years, have really started improving the quality of the wines and producing world-class wines. So if you're looking for value for your reds from Burgundy, definitely check out the Cru wines from Beaujolais, things like Morgon, Saint-Amour. These wines are going to definitely give you another level of quality without going up to those price points that you might see in the higher qualities of Burgundy. So as I had already mentioned, what our most important grapes are. Most important grape in Beaujolais is going to be Gamay, and for all over Burgundy, everywhere else, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay are your two most important varietals. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't other varietals allowed. So Melon de Bourgogne, there are some as well, Sauvignon Blanc located in Burgundy, along with a few other small plantings of other varietals that are allowed and have been there historically. But realistically, all of them combined produce less than 1% of the production of Burgundy. So when you talk about Burgundy, you are almost always talking about these three varietals. Now, I mentioned a little bit about the quality levels. So how do you look for quality levels in Burgundy? Well, legally and officially, the way that they describe quality levels is based off the terroir and the vineyards. So as long as you own a Premier Cru or Grand Cru quality vineyard, you can produce wines from that vineyard that are Premier and Grand Cru. Now, at the entry tier, you have wines that are the AOC, the Appellation wines, which these just come from anywhere in Burgundy. This is the least restrictive and the most open and the most affordable way to have your Burgundy. So you'll see these wines just saying something like Bourgogne. Many times they'll have the varietal, like this one is a Pinot Noir, or they'll just be like Bourgogne Rouge, which is red wine from Burgundy. These are very nice, very easy drinking wines, not meant to be aged in most cases, and they're definitely the most approachable and most affordable wines. You can still find very good AOC wines for under $30. Now, village wines come from one specific village and subzone within Burgundy, not necessarily a special high designation, but from a specific terroir. So for instance, when you find a Meursault, like I have here from Bichot, or a Volnay, or a Vin Romani, those are just your village wines. These are considered to be a higher quality level, a step above AOC, because they have to come from one specific village, but they're not necessarily recognized as Premier or Grand Crus. You can find very nice village wines starting in the 30s and 40s, with some of the top villages like Poligny-Montrachet being over $100. Then you get into the big boys, the Premier Cru and Grand Cru. These are specific vineyards that have been recognized for their extra special terroir and minerality, with Premier Cru being the more numerous and below the Grand Cru. So these Premier Crus, over 100 of them available just in the Côte d'Or. These are wines that have shown something exceptional in that specific region, and they are available in Pinot Noir, in Chardonnay, there's even one in Aligoté, and these are very special wines, but not your top bottles. Your top bottles come from Grand Crus. So Grand Crus are just a handful of selected vineyards that produce the best, the top wines from Burgundy, and these are the wines that are the most rare and most sought after. So while you can find wines in all three of these quality levels for under $100, you're definitely not going to find Grand Cru for under $100 anymore, and the top Grand Crus can go for thousands of dollars. In fact, the world's most expensive red wine, Domaine de Romani Conti, is a Grand Cru from Burgundy that goes for over $10,000 a bottle. And if you want a top bottle from a top vintage, say 2005 or 2009, that can easily run you between $15,000 and $27,000 per bottle. But if you want to enjoy fine wines from Burgundy, you don't have to spend that kind of money. You can find beautiful, easy drinking Premier Crus like this one that we have from Mercure here at El Carajo. And this month we have a special discount available for all of you who've tuned in. So make sure you use our discount code on checkout at elcarajo.shop, and you can enjoy any of these wines that we have from Burgundy. Any 6 bottles, you can get 10% off.